This is a Mora Eric Frost 164 hook knife. It's in its wrapping as it comes from the wholesalers to me. So we're going to open it and we're going to go through various processes of sharpening it and just adapting it so it works really efficiently and really nicely. Okay, let's feel this edge. This is probably, oh, it's really blunt just along here. Little bit sharper here. Let's try putting it through the spoon. Amazingly, it does cut, but not very well. There are a lot of little ridges along here. I'm having to put a fair amount of effort into it. This knife is blunt, and they all do actually come quite blunt. I think this is really dangerous because you're forcing a knife through the wood, and as soon as you start forcing a tool, you're far more likely to slip, and if you do slip, you're far more likely to create yourself or do yourself a nasty injury. So I'm going to go through the process of how to sharpen this up. One thing that I always like to do is just to take this point off, and this isn't quite as pointy as some of the knives I get, but this point here does tend to stick into the wood quite easily. If it's not sticking into the wood, it's quite easy to catch your finger on the end there. Okay, I'm just going to grind the point off on this little grindstone. Keep moving it so it doesn't create a groove in the stone. Right, that's more than enough. I'm just going to round it off a little bit more. There we go, that's perfect. Okay, obviously if you don't have a grindstone, you can use a diamond file. A file will probably do it, but the metal is probably a little bit hard for a file to do it properly. Or just a coarse stone. These are the little slips I use for sharpening the knife, and again just a little plank of softwood with some emery board, well, wet and dry silicon carbide to give it its proper name. This is a 180. I just tape it down the edge with masking tape and wrap it round, and when I need to take when it's worn right down and I need to expose more grit, I just tear it off like so. And again with the round ones, they're just taped on and wrapped round. As you can see here, I do put a little bit of tape at the bottom because it is quite springy and it just wants to spring open. Okay, what I tend to use is a little block I've made up like this to help me sharpen my tools on, especially my hook tools, and I just put this in my vise or workmate or whatever you have to hand. This way I'm working up towards myself, I can see in detail what I'm doing, and it supports the knife very well, and I've got good access around. The first thing I do is to take my flat slip and just follow the bevel all the way round. Try not to round the bevel off and just try to follow the existing bevel that is there. Over time it will get rounder and rounder anyway. This is a 180 grit and I can already feel it getting a lot finer as the coarse grits are worn away, sort of break off or break up on the slip, and you can see that it's changed colour and it's very much finer where it's worn. So go round following the existing bevel and try and do some sweeping movements like this rather than just working on a flat round like that. And when we've done the outside, we get our round slip and we do exactly the same in the middle. Try and keep this as flat as possible. Try not to create any bevel on the inside, because we do want to keep the bevel, the edge of the knife as acute as possible. We don't want an obtuse bevel because that will hinder our cutting action. We want it to slice easily through the wood. As you can see, I'm twisting the slip around as I go. 100 grit silicon carbide slip now, just finally finishing off on the inside. After you've used the slips, you can go on to using strops. You may find that if you do go down to 2000 grit silicon carbide, it's not absolutely necessary to use a strop, but it often helps just to polish the edge. And again, this is just a piece of leather wrapped round a dowel. And it's got a polishing compound on. I use the gold FlexiCut stuff myself, but there are all sorts on the market, and you can always use a metal polish like Autosol. You will notice that I'm always pushing away from the edge, especially with the strops and the papers. If I pull them into the edge, I'm likely to cut the paper or cut the leather strop. So I've done the inside, and I just get my paddle strop and work on the outside bevel. And we're going to give this a go, see how sharp it is now. Hopefully there'll be a huge difference. Oh yes, that feels far better now. Okay, can you see? I'll take this out. Okay. Oh, that is slicing through the wood beautifully now. A great improvement. I'm hardly using any effort whatsoever.